Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you are listening to this. This is Coffee with Kevin. Yes, it's Coffee with Kevin time. And I am Kevin Martin. I am a hypnotherapist, a mindset coach, and author. As you can see, my book up there that just got released this past weekend. I am a speaker, a trainer. I've created all sorts of stuff. But more importantly, in this moment, this is my coffee, and I do feel blessed today. Mm. Here's to you. I hope you have a hot cup of coffee, cup of tea, or whatever it is, water, juice, smoothie, whatever it is you're drinking this morning. Mm. Here's to you. Happy May 13th. May 13th. Can you believe it? We are in the middle of the fifth month here in 2025. It is flying, sometimes a little too fast, sometimes a little too fast. But here we are. Here we are in May 13th. So, what happened on today? Well, the most significant thing, or at least I think the most fun thing, it was the what some people call the birth of jazz. Louis Armstrong came out with When the Saints Go Marching In. Yeah, yeah, that was really, really cool. So that was, I think, one of the more significant things on this day. Plenty of other things happened on this day in history. Let's see. Final episode of Frasier. If those of you remember, it's 2004. It ended. Frasier was a psychiatrist, a therapist, and he had this little dog, and he had a lot of people around him that were neurotic, including himself. It was pretty cool. 1767, a little further back, Wolfgang Mozart had his first opera, Apollo, at the Hyacinthus. I'm really happy I could even say that, but I don't remember that personally. Some of you, my kids might think I remember that personally. First ever Formula One World Drivers' Championship, okay, is 1950. Formula One's in 1950. Can you believe that? Now, famous birthdays today. I don't see any that I really want to talk about. Celebrity birthdays, though. Stevie Wonder and Morgan Wallen. Some musical birthdays here. So, I mean, with Louis Armstrong coming out, with Saints Go Marching In, the start of jazz, and then Stevie Wonder's birthday. He's 75 today. Dennis Rodman, those of you who care, he's 64 today. That is about it. That is about it. So that's today in history. And so, one of the things I've realized lately is that every day has a bunch of national days. Every day has a bunch of national days. And I don't know where my printout went for this, but I'm going to get it. That's all right. I have it right here. Today is National Apple Pie Day. It is National Apple Pie Day and National Fruit Cocktail Day. So if you like apple pie, you like fruit cocktail. Believe me, I was going to have them here because I love them both. And it's National Cough Drops Day. Believe it? There's a such thing as National Cough Drop Day. So yeah, so if you like any of those things, you can celebrate. You can give some apple pie to your friends, or fruit cocktail, or even cough drops, because it's all those. So I had a quote for these national days. Believe it or not, life serves up apple pie moments. colorful fruit cocktail days, and yes, the occasional cough drop challenge. Savor the good, stay vibrant through the mix, and soothe your way through struggles. Keep going, flavor and fight both, and make you strong, and they'll make you stronger. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, isn't it? Of course, I had AI build that quote for me. I couldn't have thought of that quote that well. But yeah, for the days. By the way, it's also National Drew Day. What is National Drew Day? Anyone named Drew, it's time to celebrate their day today. So if you know someone named Drew, celebrate their day. Good morning, Monya. That's awesome you're here again. Thank you. I hope you get to have some either apple pie or fruit cocktail today. I hope you don't need cough drops today. Oh, today's an interesting day here. I was thinking about what we were going to be doing here, and I had looked up some stories earlier, and I said, I never tell stories. I mean, I tell stories. I tell stories of my own life or stories of something that's going on, but I tell stories to my clients all the time. And why do I tell stories? I tell stories to my clients all the time because stories are much more effective than just telling them something. Stories are most effective for getting points across, for getting morals across, for getting something deep down. With my hypnosis clients, I actually tell stories in hypnosis because that part of your mind, your inner mind, gets it from stories. Sometimes it doesn't get authoritative type of things the way I say this is going to happen for you. Sometimes it doesn't get simple suggestions, but it gets stories really well. I'm trying to get this. My lighting in here isn't the greatest, so you see a little stuff around my head. You don't see any hair around my head though. That's thanks to Brenda. Brenda gave me a nice haircut this week. Okay, so what do we have here? We have quotes like we always do. I'm talking about stories, but we have quotes. And this isn't a great quote. This is a great quote from someone I really look up to in business and in the computer world. It's Steve Jobs. The most powerful person in the world is a storyteller, he says. The most powerful person in the world is a storyteller. And to a degree, that's what he did with the Apple products. That's what he did with the Apple products. He had to be creative and he had to tell stories. He actually had the products tell stories as well. Yeah, if anyone knows about stories, it's Steve Jobs. Bless his soul, he's passed, but he was an incredible marketer. He was an incredible technologist. Designing, creating the stuff that he created. So I want to start telling stories, and this is a story I learned a long time ago when I ran a sales training business, and I had sales people in here, but it works for anybody that is looking at that wants to need or needs to know about how you look at things. It changes things. So the story about the two shoe salesmen. Two salesmen are sent to a remote village to sell shoes. The first salesman reports back, "No one here wears shoes, no opportunity." The second salesman reports back. He says, "No one here wears shoes, huge opportunity." It's the same environment, it's the same story, yet they looked at it differently. They looked at it differently. I love that story of the two shoe salesmen because it shows how we sometimes look at it differently. It's those lenses we look at. And you might say, okay, the second one's got rose colored glasses. I'll say the first one has really dark, crappy colored glasses. But yeah, the way you look at things creates your reality in some ways. And the famous thing, and I didn't bring a glass in here. I should have brought a glass in here. Is a glass half filled. It's not really a story, but we always tell the story of people talking about, is this glass, and now is my coffee cup. It's about half. I don't know if you can see it. It's about half. It'll be half now. Mm, my coffee cup. Is it half empty or is it half filled? Is it half empty or is it half filled? Now, this might have to do with what attitude I have at the time. This might have to do with what mood I'm in. If I'm enjoying my coffee so much and I want to have a lot more coffee, and I look at it and say, I'm already half empty. I'm thinking, I only have half of it left to go. I've drank half of it already. It's half empty. Or I could look at it and say, it's coming from the same place where I love the coffee. I still have a half a cup to go. It's awesome. There's a story, and there's just an analogy. Not quite the story, a full story, but it's an analogy of how we look at things. A lot of stories about how we look at things. And this next one is definitely about how we look at things, but it's definitely a story. I first heard this story when I was learning the lesson of serendipity. I was listening to something Brian Tracy calls the law of serendipity, and he tells this story. And it's actually an ancient Chinese proverb. A farmer's horse runs away, and a neighbor says to him, he says, "Oh no, such bad luck." And the farmer simply replies, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returns bringing 3 wild horses with it. And the neighbor says to him, "What great luck." And the farmer replies, "Well, maybe." And the farmer's son tries to ride one of the wild horses and falls and breaks his leg. And the neighbor again says, "Terrible luck." And the farmer again says, "Well, maybe." Soon after, the soldiers come to the village to draft the young men into the army, but his son is spared because of his injury. This is serendipity. This is the farmer himself. He wouldn't be that positive guy there, because when the neighbor says, "What great luck," he says, "Well, maybe." He was the tempered guy. He was the one who wasn't going to go on what's happening in the moment. He was the one who's going to go on the bigger thing. He was waiting for the bigger thing, and the bigger thing was really good luck for him. We often label things as good as bad much too quickly. Okay? Perspective and patience reveal deeper meaning over time. Okay. One last one. I wasn't sure I was going to tell this one. Actually, I have a couple more, but we're going to do some quotes in a second. The eagle versus the chicken. An eagle is raised by chickens. Can you imagine that, an eagle raised by chickens? It spends its life scratching the dirt, never realizing it was born to soar. One day it looks up, sees another eagle flying and soaring, and feels something stir deep inside, but assumes it's impossible because he was raised by chickens. How we see ourselves defines how we show up in the world. Change your perspective and change your destiny. Now that's a story. That's a story to help. Okay. Good. Another quote here. To those who tell stories rule the world. I'm telling stories, so I should rule the world right now. Stories are a great way to communicate. And they're interesting, and they hook people, they bring people in. And so, yeah, I love this. This is Plato, by the way. He's a little, this was a little further back than Steve Jobs. The next one. After nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the thing we need most in the world. After nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the things we need most in the world. They weren't in the hierarchy of needs stories, but it should have been. It should have been. So, yeah, I got one or two more stories to go, but I don't have them here. So I am going to have to read off of, I don't have them in my hand, should I say. But these are true stories. You know, you ever hear of Spanx? Spanx, yeah, those stretchy pants that made history in the world. I mean, it changed. It was a revolution in the way, especially women wore clothes. Sarah Blakely. Sarah was selling fax machines door to door and had no experience in fashion or business. Frustrated with traditional shapewear, she cut the feet off of her pantyhose to wear under white pants. And an idea was born. She spent $5,000 of her savings, learned the hosiery business from scratch, and heard no from countless manufacturers until one factory owner agreed to help, influenced by his daughters. She wrote her own patent, designed the packaging, insisted her product go on store floors, not tucked in the corner. Oprah later named Spanx one of her favorite things, and the rest is history. You know, she wasn't deterred. She just had an idea and went with it. Whether you're looking for success in business or success in your work or success in your personal life, look for those ideas, look for those opportunities. All right, I'm going to tell one more story, and because it has to do with space race, and that's one of my favorite things. I love things about space. Edward White Jr., inspired by many stories from NASA janitors to engineers. In the early days of the US space race, a reporter was touring NASA and stopped to ask a janitor what he was doing. His answer: I'm helping put a man on the moon. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? This humble response illustrates how powerful purpose can be. Even in roles that seem far removed from the spotlight, everyone at NASA, from the janitor to the astronauts, was connected to the larger mission. This is a great story. The humble response was how powerful purpose can be, even in roles that seem far removed. All right, why it inspires? You know, the purpose transforms how we see our role, doesn't it? When you can find your purpose, when you can find your mission. By the way, chapter two, there we go. In my book is all about mission, writing your own mission, finding your own mission. Everyone matters in a team with vision. When everybody's on the same page with the vision, everyone matters. And leadership is about helping others find meaning in the work. When you're surrounded by purpose, by the way, whether it's your own purpose, every task becomes meaningful. I have a purpose. I have a mission. My mission is to help as many people to help themselves. And this is part of my mission. Being here every week, writing my book, seeing my clients, working in groups. It's all part of my mission. You too can have a purpose and mission that you're living every day. Stories are communal currency of humanity. They are, aren't they? Because we got stories that's handed down not just generations, but hundreds, if not thousands, of years. I read one of the stories that was from a long time ago, ancient Chinese parable, handed down thousands and thousands of years. No one ever made a decision because of a number. They need a story. If you're actually trying to sell a product or sell an idea or sell your opinion, stories will do it for you. Stories will definitely help. All right. Joan came in too. Good morning. I hope you all like this. I hope this was a little different. It was I had the quotes, but I had formal stories instead of actually talking about the quotes in any depth. I had formal stories. I love stories, and I probably will do this again if you all liked it. Until next week, I wish for you a blessed day, a purposeful week, and that's all in your power. That's all in your power to make your day, your week, your time however you want it. Because there's choice there. There's choice to feel great, and there's choice to feel not so great. I hope you choose the former. Take care. I'll see you next week.